UMBC Retrievers were crowned champions, totaling a record.
UMBC, the 2019 America East Conference champions.
The first ever number 16 seed to defeat a number 1 seed in an NCAA.
Kasai with the chip, and look at Hauk with the run, and he just gets a foot on it.
Swing and a miss. The Retrievers.
It's like a stone wall. It's incredible that the Retrievers have been able to even...
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Retriever Report. Later on in the program, we'll talk women's basketball with head coach Johnetta Hayes and freshman guard Lyric Swann. We start the program, though, with the swimming and diving team, and there's been a lot of excitement around campus the last couple years with men's basketball, the baseball team winning the America East Championship last year. But if you want to talk about true sports dynasties, we're talking about UMBC swimming and diving as 32 conference championships since 1998. I'm joined by head coach Chad Cradock and also by Garrett Wlochowski from the men's swimming and diving team. And guys, I guess, Chad, first question is, 32 conference championships. Talk about some of the things that stand out for you when you talk about how successful the program has been.
Well, first, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. The first thing is it's not actually the best to always be at the top because you're the hunted. So we know that. And once you win a championship, we kind of look beyond that and we look to the future. We're not champions anymore. We're looking for the future. So we've really been fortunate to have success build on success. And our program tends to be very well respected, not only domestically, but also internationally. And so we've been fortunate to have international recruits and our top domestic recruits look at being a part of our program. And we're well sought off after. And as we continue to grow and continue to expand and actually have more of an international presence, I noticed that more athletes want to be a part of a successful program like ours. So we're not just successful in championships, we're successful internationally as well.
And I guess, Chad, the other thing, too, is building culture and understanding that. And you talked about that is, once you create that culture, it's a lot easier to continue that culture, right?
I agree. I think it's interesting because when a new coach comes on board, for example, everybody expects that immediate change, right? But it takes a while to build culture, and it takes 4 or 5 or 6 years. And I've been here a long time now. I've been head coach since 2001, and we were able to finally have a group of young men and women that are bought into the program, believe in us, and we believe in them, and we're able to perform because we work really hard at it, and we believe in each other, and we have the confidence to perform.
Your evolution as a coach from the beginning to now, kind of what are the things I think have you learned as a coach going and all this time?
Well, to be honest, I didn't want the job. I never thought I'd be a coach ever, but it kind of fell in my lap. And I graduated here in 1997, and I, from 97 to 2001 was assistant. In 2001, I took over, and I was young. I was 25, and I was in over my head, and I didn't really know what to do. I was looking more for maybe friendships. And and I started to realize, I want those friendships. I want those good relationships with my athletes. However, I need to help them develop themselves, and sometimes they might have to be mad at me, And we have to instill rules and kind of a sense of culture and camaraderie and everything else. So over the years, we've been through a lot. We've learned from our mistakes, and because we've learned from our mistakes, we're a lot stronger and better program now. We're better academically, we're better in the community, and we're also better in the pool.
Let's talk about Garrett for a second, senior. Talk about what he's brought to the program over the last 4 years.
Well, I still remember recruiting Garrett, and I was pretty excited to get him. I saw potential in Garrett. And that's what's happened is he came in and he was a contributor, but now he's the lead. He's the lead in our backstroke, and it's all through hard work, dedication, discipline. Our relationship's really grown over the 4 years that I think we can talk about anything, and I really understand where he's coming from too. And watching him last year, I mean, he just had the will and desire, and we were fortunate to have at the time, a really good backstroke squad, but Alexander Glees was able to continue to push him, and I think between the two of them, they were able to really just excel. And now Garrett's like taking that lead and the helm, and we can count on him to be successful and pull out those wins that we need.
Team so far, how have you guys assessed the performance so far on the squad?
Yeah, if you look at the men and women's program, starting with the women's program, we probably don't look as strong. We really haven't won anything. It's the way we can be successful in conference, we all know this is we need to improve. We're not as strong as we have been. And so we're focused on improvement, and if we continue to improve, we actually will be successful at championships. We know that, and we have a good VMI team coming up, and George Mason in the middle season. The men, on the other hand, are very strong right now. They have a really strong team. We have the strongest depth in our relays. It's really difficult to pick who because each week it changes, and
Sure.
And they're hungry, and so it's really good. I'm not saying the women aren't hungry because they're definitely hungry, but we know we have an uphill battle. And we're gonna work for it.
Garrett, talk to me about the recruiting process coming to UMBC. How did you learn about the school and talk about your decision to actually attend?
So I actually found out about the school through another student that was already here.
Mm-hmm.
He was from Connecticut, and I heard about it through him and some other kids on my team. So then I contacted the coach, and when I actually came on my recruiting trip, I just fell in love with the school and the team as a whole.
Tell me about your, we talk about, the actual, competing, but there's so much else that goes into it as far as nutrition and everything else. Talk about how you prepare for a meet and kind of the sacrifices you make to compete on this level.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. You got to take in your schoolwork, so you got to keep on top of that. That's pretty much the most important thing because you want to graduate with a degree at the end of your 4 years. So that's pretty important. But also, like nutrition-wise, like just making sure you're picking the right options and making sure that you're doing everything you can to set yourself up for every meet and the end of the season because that's what's most important.
So you eat plenty, though. We have to eat a lot.
Oh, I know. You talk about just cramming calories, right,
Yeah.
to be ready to go and to have the energy to perform, right?
Yeah. We ate a lot of carbs and all that good stuff.
You won the 100 backstroke in the last two meets. Talk about, though, how you decide and pick which stroke you want to do. And, I guess you have your strengths and go through, the process of deciding what you want to compete at.
So I've always been strong in the backstroke even before coming to college, and I think that's my number one stroke. But as in terms of other strokes, I really depends on what the team needs. I feel like I can perform in a lot of other events too, and if the team needs that, I'll be ready to step up and take that position.
That's an awesome point, Coach. You think about you wanting to have athletes that are willing to maybe, not do something they want to do, but if it's best for the team, go and perform.
That's exactly it. And people don't realize that swimming has a lot of strategy. I mean, if you take last week at Towson, for example, unfortunately we came up short, but we knew like when we're coming down to we came down the last relay, and we knew the only way we could down to the last relay is pull our best relay guy and move him over to the IM and say in 4 or 5 minutes before, hey, we have to make this change. And that's a surprise to the other team, right? And then they thought they're going to win it, but then we bring it to them and it has to come down the last relay. So there is strategy to the sport, and when you go to championships, the same thing. Like, Garrett has swum the 100 back, the 100 fly. He has the ability to do the free. He has the IM, and it's really what's best for the program, and they buy into that. They understand it.
Last thing, Garrett, you are an intern with the communications department here at UMBC. I forget this right, financial economics major, but I guess the TV radio bug caught you too, right?
Yeah, so I did a lot of stuff in high school when I was working with the media team and stuff for broadcast. So I was interested in that, and I heard about it through a student last year who actually took the internship. So I got into it, talked to the person in charge, and kind of just fell in where I needed to be.
What's your favorite thing? I know you got the hair for the on camera, but I know you're behind the scenes too. What do you like the most?
I like videotaping the games. It's fun to see the other teams play and watch how they do in season.
Awesome. Chad, Garrett, I really appreciate the time. Good luck, guys, for the rest of the season.
Thank you for having us.
Coming back after the break, we'll talk women's basketball on the Retriever Report.
My anxiety kind of like spiked through the roof, and I started having like depressive symptoms, and it got to the point where I couldn't function anymore.
We've been really privileged to have some courageous student athletes, but also invested administrators and coaches.
It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have anxiety.
You know, there's nothing more important than the health and safety of our student athletes, and I think the mental health initiative is one that we're going to continue to build on and, you know, make a difference in all of our student athletes' lives across the league.
Welcome back to the Retriever Report. Time to talk women's basketball. We're joined by women's head coach Johnetta Hayes and also freshman guard Swann. Hello, ladies. How are you today?
Hi, how are you?
Very good, very good. Great start to the season, win over Gettysburg. Coach, before we talk about the season, though, I want to talk about the preseason. I want to talk about coming in as a new coach and really setting the tone. And I guess being successful this year was going to be determined on how you guys prepared for the season. Talk about getting the girls ready to play and understanding what your system was going to be and what you expect from your players.
You know, mostly we would talk about the grit and grind. It's through our locker room. It's the motto of our team at this point. But just preparing them for preseason starting in the summer. You'll hear me on the sideline most of the time yelling about their tempo and intensity, playing faster, trying to just take our level of pushing the ball in transition, not walking in as much. We want to have a balanced game where we can actually push in transition and execute in a half-court set. I think my staff has done an amazing job trying to get our young ladies prepared day in and day out, just a fundamental part of basketball, but we are really trying to change the tempo of the game, how fast we play.
Stood out in that Gettysburg win, just the ability, Paula Rubio, your point guard, getting out and just watching, I'll tell you, Coach, watching the eyes light up from Tasia and Johnetta of getting out and knowing they needed to get to their spots because Paula had the basketball and just being ready to score in transition situations.
I think it was awesome. They had a good time. You know, we got to the locker room and we talked about how did it feel to have that type of win, you know, to dominate a game. And they were pretty excited about it. We did follow up with a loss after that, but we were different. We weren't as aggressive. And so we know in order for us to have success, we're going to have to be aggressive next week, tomorrow, whomever we're playing, scout team each other. We have to take a different approach, an aggressive approach. It works for us.
Talk about your system, your assistant coaches. I know you have a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator.
I do.
Talk about the organizational skills of your hierarchy and, you know, just running the program.
We're a football team, you guys. Everywhere I've been, I've always had an offensive coach. I love Coach Rogers' approach to the game and trying to find something that fit our system and our team. So we run a motion offense 4 out 1 in usually, but we're trying to get looks for our guards. Our post players, they get feed-ins, dig-ins from our guard play. Our guard play is the strongest play that we have. You know, I think Lyric has done a pretty good job stepping into that role. It's so much more that she can give. Paula has finally found her niche. I think it's been there, but she is enhanced now. Tasia is just a better Tasia. Like Tasia 2.5 now. You know, these are the expectations every game. How many touches you must get every game. How many shots she have to take every game. Understand the shot selection for each of them. But we're just trying to get them to push in transition again, run a half-court set, run our 4 out 1 in motion if we can, create spacing, and allow them to just play basketball a little bit more.
Coach, the other thing that stood out to me in the Gettysburg game was defensively, your intensity and your communication and the ability to get out and close out the three. I thought you guys did that real well in that game.
I think we did too. I think we definitely, Gettysburg had 22 wins the year before. We previously played with them and it was a pretty close game most of the game. So the young ladies had an idea who they were playing again. They knew their identity already, so they understood what we need to take away. And they did a good job doing it. Coach Coach Royals does an amazing job daily. He's very patient. I will work with the young ladies on what the game plan and what we're looking for in that day, each and every day. So it will change up week to week, but once we get into January, we'll pretty much have an identity of who we are for this year. But right now, we're still trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out defensively where are we strongest at. So that's just something that we're going to continue to work on daily.
Coach, let's bring Lyric in, talk about Lyric and her coming to the program and what you've seen from her early on.
She's a true spark. You know, Lyric plays off of instinct. So we're working on that. Instinct is good, but when you're learning a system, you also have to play within that system. Mm-hmm. But I think that she needs the ball in her hands more from the start. So you may see Paula on the wing more this week, you know, and the ball in Lyric hand more so she can feel as comfortable as possible running her team and running the offense. We have a really good problem. We have a freshman who can play 40 minutes a game, and then you have Paula, who's more reserved and knows how to play faster and know when to slow the game down, so understanding the game and the segments of the game. So hopefully Lyric can learn from Paula and the rest of her teammates, but she's there, she's ready. She's the first starter I've seen, one of the first in the country this year that gets out there and has no concerns whatsoever, just ready to play.
Yeah, Lyric, talk about having that confidence and, you know, starting as a freshman and kind of what it's been like for you.
It's been exciting. I felt like I've been preparing myself for this because I committed early, so I was like thinking about the next level.
I guess expectations of what you thought this would be and kind of what it's been for you. Has it been similar?
My expectations, I didn't know what to expect because of the new coaching staff. Mm-hmm. So I've loved this coaching staff. They've done an amazing job. Yeah, so they've been working with us really well. I've loved the improvement from this new year and everything.
Tell me about your family. Your mom played here, Karen, and graduated in '92. Did that make this an easy choice for you, or were there other options, or was this it, you were going to UMBC?
I would say it made it an easier choice. I know I wanted to stay close to home because she's a big factor in my life, and she's been really excited that I've been here and supporting me, and
gets to come to all the games, right? And
yeah.
see you play, right? That's important, right? Mm-hmm. Definitely. And your sister, Jalen, you have a twin sister, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
She's at Muhlenberg. Who's the better player?
Well, I gotta go with myself, you know.
That's an easy choice, right?
Yeah.
Easy choice. Is it true? I gotta ask you this because you're twins. Is it true, like you guys, like know each other's thoughts and stuff like that? Is that a legitimate thing?
I feel like sometimes we do.
Okay,
yeah, like we just look at each other and we know what we think, and especially on the court. I loved playing with her. We had that like connection. Mm-hmm. So this is like my first year playing without her. So it's been different, but I know she's doing well there.
Talk to me about stuff off the court. I mean, have you thought about what your major's going to be or what you want to do and what you want to do when you're done playing?
Mm-hmm. So my major is visual arts, so I'm going to be in graphic design. I started in high school, taking some classes, so that's my path right now.
Gotcha. Yeah. Coach, the team overall, you know, you came in, and I know there's, you know, you always have players that, you know, they know what their roles are or whatever, and that may change. Talk about evaluating the girls that were here and, you know, kind of understanding, trying to find their niche and make them better players.
I think we're still doing that, even now as we're starting the season. Evaluating them in preseason without competitive competition, other than themselves, you know, and each other. They know each other, so they know how to guard each other, know how to play each other. But to see them in live action versus scout team is completely different. To know who's okay with having a bigger role, who wants the ball more versus who's a little more reserved and not comfortable yet. So on this team, you can't be reserved. You're going to have to be aggressive. You're going to have to be accountable. You're going to have to be vocal. It is something we discuss every day at practice, in games. We're going to be loud. Our bench, as you spoke about, will be loud. We scream 3 stops. So we get one, you'll hear someone say, that's 1 stop, 3 stops, everyone's up and clapping. That's our goal, to make it contagious. Hopefully it's something that will spill over into the crowd at some point. We want, you know, constant involvement from our fans as well as our players. But going back to your question, to evaluate them and see where they were and where they are now, I am truly excited about their future because they are buying into what we are giving them daily. Tasia J will be another. Jen has impressed me the most. She had her first double-double probably in life, you know. But it was great because it was good for her confidence. But I've seen her grow in the last 3 months more than anybody else. you know, for her to just accept the role and continue to grow. When Kayla went down, Jen back in the role again. And now you can see her as she's not surpassing her teammates, but she's growing into the Jen that we need for us to have success here at UMBC.
Challenge up ahead. You guys got, I think, 6 on the road, and then before you come back home again. So real quick before we wrap up, talk about this, the mindset of going on the road, playing, and getting it done on the road.
I think the biggest thing right now, whether we're at home or on the road, is us. And that's what the talk was about at practice this morning, just focusing on us more and trying to get us in a place where we feel comfortable in our offense and our defense and just truly being super competitive and finishing plays. We want to work on finishing plays. We want to win walking to the water fountain, running wherever we're going. We just want to be more competitive daily in our talk, in our grind, in the classroom. So whether on the road or at home, I think we'll be fine. You know, missing school will probably be the only piece, but this is a really, really smart group of young ladies that we're working with, and it's amazing just to see their balance. Yep. So they have a good, healthy balance already.
Very good. Starts at Wagner coming up on Saturday. Ladies, thank you so much for coming out and talking.
Thank you for having us.
With me. Really appreciate it. That's going to do it for the Retriever Report. I'm Paul Mittermeier saying so long. We'll talk to you next time from UMBC.